Hello guys, and welcome back to another one with us, the Review Bros, and today we're going to be taking a look at Historic Pre-Workout Zeus by Historic Labs, and it's promising performance, endurance, energy, focus and pump, which are all the things we cover and more, and we will be covering that as we move through the whole review, covering taste, price, label and effects. Will it be your next pre-workout? It certainly looks like a promising one at first glance. If you are new to our channel and you do find our videos useful or entertaining, please do give it a like, hit the sub button, tick the bell icon, because we drop at least 3 reviews a week. But let's get into this one. Okay, first segment, taste and mixability, and we're going to be trying blue raspberry lemonade, which looks to be the only flavour this is available in anyway, so nice and easy. Mixability, actually surprisingly good, because it's not the smallest serving amount in the world, but let's see how it tastes. It's quite chalky, it's a very thick consistency, but obviously that's due to some of the ingredients in there. Yeah, it's a very sweet taste, I would say, very potent. Obviously you can add more water to minimise that, but I do think it does taste accurate and there's no nastiness on the back end. It's more so just the chalky thickness, consistency that might put some people off. Everyone's got different tolerances to taste and mixability, but generally I'm alright. But on the flavour and everything, I'll have one more sip and I'll give you a score. So if it weren't for the chalkiness, I'd be looking at giving it like a 9, but for me that does knock it down a little bit, so I'll settle on like an 8 out of 10. I think that's very fair. I don't think anyone would really struggle with it. It's just not as nice as it could be. But at the same time, you drink it, you get down the gym. So let's move on to price. Okay, let's talk price of Historic Pre-Workout, and it is an American one, so obviously I'll do the conversions for you. I've got it all written down in my pretty little notepad. So you'll head over to historiclabs.com where you can use our discount code RB15. That will knock off 15%. You can pick it up for $46.73, which works out as $1.87 per the serving. Now when you convert that into pounds, it comes to £37 2 pennies for the tub, or £1.48 per the serving. Now, you may or may not know, but we do have a consistent price scale that measures how expensive pre-workouts are, where a 5 out of 10 is considered to be the bang average price point on the market. This comes in at a 6 out of 10, so it's priced a little bit better than your typical price pre-workout. So what we're going to be looking at obviously is what sort of pre are we getting for that money? Is it going to be good bang for buck, and ultimately is it worth purchasing? So stay tuned and we'll tap into the label and then the effects. Okay, so what are we getting in the label of this pre-workout, or in the pre-workout itself, should I say? So 15.4 gram serving amount, which is probably around about average for today, actually, come to think of it. First up, we've got L-citrulline malate at 2:1 at 6 grams. So obviously we're getting a decent amount of L-citrulline, enough to get the job done at least, in terms of bumping up your nitric oxide levels, increasing blood flow, nutrient delivery, and ultimately the pump. So we'll take that. Then we've got Beta Pure, which is a trademarked version, so it's bound to be more potent and pure. Betaine anhydrous 2.5 grams, which is a really nice dose. It's a jack of all trades sort of ingredient in pre's, in that it helps with your endurance, helps with your power, helps with your pumps, and ultimately your performance in the gym. Then we've got Hydra Prime, which is the reason that the pre-workout was a little bit chalky in the taste segment, but it's ultimately worth it, in my opinion, for this ingredient. Hydra Prime is the registered version, again, another trademark sort of potent, high quality ingredient here. Glycerol powder standardised 65% at 2.5 grams, which is a pretty respectable dose as it goes within pre-workouts these days, because it can cause clumping, although in this one it absolutely hasn't, so no problems there. But it's meant to, or what it does do, is pulling water into the muscle cell, hyperhydrate you, obviously helping with your performance in the gym, your pumps, your contractions, all that good stuff. Then we move down to Lion's Mane Mushroom, 600 milligrams, really nice dose of a nootropic-based ingredient. It's obviously a mushroom as stated there, so it's going to help with your focus, concentration and mood, anti-anxiety, sort of benefits like that. We always like to see it. And then we move down to agmatine sulfate at 500 milligrams. Honestly like to see 1 gram to 1.5 grams normally, but 500 milligrams should still yield some benefit in that it's going to help with, similar to L-citrulline, to bump up your nitric oxide levels, to increase the blood flow in the pump, and there should be some synergistic action there, and it has also been shown to extend the life of your pump, so you should hopefully be pumped for a little bit longer. Then we've got Genius Pure, which is another registered ingredient. They've spared no expense with this label, as you can see. Alpha GPC at 350 milligrams. Now, I'll be honest, we would like to see at least 600 milligrams of alpha GPC yielding 300 milligrams of choline, but the fact it's the potent pure version should hope that we get more for less in terms of what we're getting from it, but it should help with your focus and concentration, and obviously you deplete your choline levels when you're training, so we're getting a nice little top up in advance here. So ultimately going to help with your athletic performance in the gym. Then we move down to Rhodeo Prime, which is another registered ingredient, Jesus, of Rhodolia crenulata, 300 milligrams, which is been shown to help with anti-anxiety, increasing your mood, just getting your mind right to train. Just it's going to play into the focus element, obviously. Then we've got caffeine anhydrous at a modest 250 milligrams, which is probably 50 to 100 milligrams less than normal in pre's, but I like it. It's a nice amount. It's definitely more than an energy drink by anything from 50 to 100 milligrams, so you're definitely going to feel it still. It's just not as high as what you would see in most typical pre's, but that ultimately would make it a very suitable daily driver and even an option for beginners, but more on that in the effects. So caffeine, main stimulant, going to wake you up and get you moving. Then we've got estrogen, which is 50 milligrams, nice dose. That's going to help with the uptake and absorption of all the ingredients in this label, getting it through you as quickly and efficiently as possible, so we'll take that. Then we wrap off with Synactive at 50 milligrams, again a nice dose. That's been shown to help with your endurance in the gym, your recovery, muscle energy. It's a nice little fancy modern ingredient, shall we say. And that does wrap off the label. So we are covering all of the elements as stated on the side of the tub there, from focus to pump to endurance to energy, everything that we would look for. So it's looking promising. I would like for dosages to be slightly higher in some scenarios, but I think they've lent more into going for premium, high quality ingredients than they have for generic ingredients at higher dosages. So we'll have to see if that strategy has paid off for them, cotton, in the effects. Okay, effects time with historic pre-workout. What do we think in the several times we've used it? And today was probably the 4th or 5th time I have used it. I really like this one, and the reasons will become clear as we get into it. So firstly, no beta-alanine, which I've come to actually enjoy more than I thought I would. And I think it's because some days I just don't fancy itching my eyes out. I'm not in the mood for it. I just fancy being a bit more calm and level-headed going into a gym session. But I don't mind either way. I like beta-alanine, but I also like the opportunity to not have it in a pre-workout. So it doesn't really ever bother me. And obviously you have the option to add it in if you want to. Obviously this pre doesn't have it. So that's to your own discretion whether you think that's a good thing or not. I am personally neutral when it comes to that, so I appreciate it either way. So you don't necessarily notice it kicking in from that standpoint. Well, obviously you don't, but you do notice it kicking in from the element of the caffeine stimulants and nootropics starting to come in after about 30, maybe 40 minutes, and it's starting to fire on all cylinders. You feel a sense of clarity, energy, attention, alertness. You just feel ready to go, but in a sort of calm, level-headed way, as I stated. The caffeine in here is a bit less than what you would typically see in pre-workouts, most pre-workouts anyway, but it's a nice amount. It's a nice, smooth amount of energy. There's no peaks or troughs. There's no crash. It takes about 30 minutes, like I say, to start feeling it, and it's gone after about 90 minutes to 2 hours tops. And it doesn't, like obviously, you don't crash. There's no come down, because I still feel perfectly fine now, and the gym session finished about an hour ago. Nice daily driver style energy. Let me refresh myself, because if I'm not mistaken, I think the caffeine is the only stimulant in here, if I'm not mistaken, and I think it is. So with that being said, obviously if you're super caffeine tolerant, it's to the point where you need a lot of caffeine, a lot of stimulants to feel anything in a pre-workout, it probably wouldn't be the most ideal pre for you. So with that being said, naturally the energy is going to be more attractive to beginners or people that are a bit more sensitive to caffeine, or people that just simply don't want that much caffeine. You know, maybe you train a little bit later in the day and you don't want the risk of being kept up all night. So it's more ideal for that sort of scenario. Moving to the next element, let's talk about pumps, because they were possibly the best thing about this pre, possibly. In fact, I would say they probably are. You get the nice vascular pump, you get the contractions, the gnarly pump from the nitric oxide bumping ingredients, but you also get that full filled out kind of appearance to it with the glycerol and the betaine and other bits and pieces that play into the hydration side of things. So I'll attach some footage, hopefully you can see. Got a really, really juicy, nasty pump on this one, and it didn't take very long at all to acquire that pump, I will say. Every time I've used it, The gym sessions have been fantastic. The pumps have come through. The endurance has been there. It just feels like a good, healthy, productive pre-workout that I would be happy to genuinely take daily on that perspective. Moving into focus, the last point that we talk about generally. Again, there's no illicit feelings to this pre, so you're not sort of like super tunneled in, nor are you off your head floating, and nothing illicit like that. It's just a nice, feel good, healthy, in the zone, pre-workout type feeling, productive. So with that being said, yes, you are focused on it. The music feels good, the weights feel good, you feel locked in, but it's nothing extreme, nothing crazy, nothing that's going to yield any nasty negative effects off of the back of that focus. As I say, it's all above board. So it is hitting it out the park with all three elements. Obviously the energy is the least potent factor with this pre-workout as they're intending, but I would say it's energy, then the focus is the next best thing, then the pumps are the best thing about this product, and obviously endurance is good and other things sort of tie in with that. There's no negatives associated with it whatsoever, no appetite suppression, didn't keep me up all night, obviously still don't take it too close to bedtime. Caffeine is still caffeine ultimately. Yeah, no jitters, no nastiness with the stimulants, nothing grim associated to it, and that's sort of tying into the fact of why I'm saying I would be happy to take this daily, because it just feels healthy, predictable, consistent, and I feel like it's geared up perfectly towards bodybuilding, hypertrophy style training with those pump and endurance style ingredients and with the low stim approach, so that, you know, if you're a serious bodybuilder or someone who's at least trying to take it seriously, you don't want to be too stimmed off your face, because you will struggle to get your meals in because your appetite will be crushed. You will struggle to sleep at night, and obviously that's when you get your recovery. So it just makes sense to not overstimulate yourself from that perspective. The only time I could see it being beneficial is if you are on a hardcore cut and you specifically don't want to eat as much and you're able to train earlier on in the day so it doesn't affect your sleep, then yeah, fair enough, I can see that. Talking price point wise, I 100% think it's worth that price point. It's priced better than your average pre-workout on the market, but it's also way better than your average pre-workout on the market. Now don't get me wrong, it's not all sunshine and rainbows here. I'm not going to say it's a 10 out of 10 pre-workout, because there are some things that I feel like could be tuned a little bit. You know, some little things here and there could be dosed a little bit higher. I would perhaps just little tweaks, nothing major, but I am nitpicking at this point. But yeah, like for example, just to throw one at you, alpha GPC, I'd love to see that at 600 milligrams to increase that focus element. I'd love to see, maybe if I'm being extra picky, a little bit more L-citrulline to make the pumps even more gnarly. And honestly guys, and maybe a bit more agmatine sulfate as well. So there's only 2 or 3 ingredients that I'd maybe increase the dosage of a little bit, but at the same time, it's not necessary, because I'm saying you still get fantastic results in the real world, and that's why we take these pre's in the first place. And obviously if they do start upping the dosage of these ingredients, that's going to drive the price point up. So it does make sense why they've done what they've done, but at the same time, like I say, they have got a lot of trademarked, registered ingredients in here that are more expensive than using them in their generic form, so obviously that's going to play into the price point as well. So maybe there is some little jiggling around they could do with the label with regards to cutting back on the expensive ingredients and upping the dosages, and I don't know. But ultimately, it comes together fantastically in the gym, and that is the absolute main thing with these products. So with that being said, I would say don't avoid it. I would not necessarily say rush out and buy it, but I would say absolutely shortlist it. If you're in the market for a nice, healthy, productive daily driver, low stimulant-ish pre-workout that prioritises hypertrophy, bodybuilding, pumps, endurance, getting the best out of your gym session from a productive standpoint, yes, this is the one. It's worth the money for sure. I'm excited to see what other products these guys do and delve into some of them for reviews, but this one, I can definitely recommend it. As I say, absolutely shortlist it if you're in the market for it, because beginners, thumbs up, intermediate, thumbs up, elite trainers, thumbs up. There's a lot of suitable people out there for this product other than stim junkies. So yeah, that is everything I've got to say about this pre-workout, guys. Let me know if you've used it down below. Do you like it? What do you think of it? Anything else you want to see us review on the channel? All the usuals. And as always, stay stimmed and pumped.